Hello and good time zone to you. Welcome to Veil Tete a Tete. I am your host, Lily, here with my husband and co host, Eric.
Hello, hello.
So, how are you doing today, Eric?
We're doing all right.
All right. I am here. I'm glad that I'm here. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but no, really. It's been all right. It's Christmas and holidays and stress
Oh yeah.
and yeah, so yay holidays, guys. Yay. So what do you have any plans? Are we do we what are the plans we have for our holidays?
Oh well, we got some of your family coming over. We're having a bit of a Christmas get together. Uh, a bit non-traditional as we're having enchiladas and beans and rice for Christmas dinner.
Yes, my grandmother's recipe.
Yes,
She's
indeed.
she passed it down to us and my aunt makes it. So, and then you're doing rice and beans.
Yes, I'm doing the sides.
And then uh interestingly enough, um we're also going to have some sausage stuffing
Mm-hmm.
because they want to make sausage stuffing and they just want to make it, so we're like, sure, we don't care.
Yeah.
And then we're also having sweet potato casserole.
Oh, am I making that?
Yes. Yes, here's news to you.
Yeah, yeah, that's news to me.
Yes, we already got part of the stuff for it.
No. Yeah, I saw the marshmallows in the cupboard. I was
Yep,
like, huh, where did these come from?
they're for the sweet potato casserole.
I should have known.
Yeah, real time, right? Real time, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So, question for you. Well, for both of us, but for you first. What is your favorite food?
My favorite food?
Yeah, what is your favorite food?
I mean, probably like sushi.
Sushi is your favorite food.
Sushi, yeah. Or steak. I'm a big animal protein boy. I like my meats.
Yeah, I mean, meats are good. You know what my favorite food is?
Hmm.
You know what my favorite food is?
What is your favorite food?
Your sweet potato casserole. I told you. I told you that was my favorite food.
All right. Well, I thought maybe you were making this a slick transition into this
No,
week's.
no. My transition was going to be, guess what? We're not talking about either of those things.
Okay.
Because you know what we're talking about? What are we talking about?
We are talking about pizza.
Yeah. You must wonder where I got that idea from, huh?
Yeah.
I got it from a friend.
Mm-hmm.
I told them that we were supposed to be doing a podcast tonight, and I had no idea what we were going to do a podcast on. Yes, I did this last minute, guys. Um, and I was like, I have no idea what we're gonna do. And they were like, what is your podcast about? I'm like, just random bullshit. And they're like, do an episode on pizza. And I'm like, what? How can I do an episode on pizza? What like pizza's great, right? Like pizza's amazing. But what can I say about pizza other than it's amazing? It's cheesy, it's delicious. You get deep dishes in and they're just fabulous, and there's so many different types of pizzas and you can have so many different anyways. Uh and so then I was like, well, where does pizza come from? I could talk about the history of pizza.
There
So
you
I spent an hour and a half, 2 hours delving into the history of pizza. And now we have this episode.
go. Okay.
So, first off, I read that it said pizza started in antiquity. But please tell me, what does antiquity mean?
So, the word that we hear, depending on our circles, fairly often, but
Yes, I've heard it fairly often and I've never known what it meant. I've gathered it's a long time ago, but I don't know actually what it means.
so looking up a definition, it does mean very old, long ago times, but more specifically, it tends to mean uh, time before the medieval period. So that would be 1080 and prior, or CE. Sorry.
See?
I
But
was brought up in uh, Southern schools in the 90s. But
wait,
yes.
this is news to me. What are you talking about?
So if we're speaking in scholarly terms, we're not going to use AD
Why?
because it's particularly specific and it's not particularly useful.
Ah,
Okay, little tangent on AD. So AD standing for Anno Domini, meaning in the year of our Lord. Okay, that's kind of okay if you're talking about the Christian world. So, like Europe and Russia. But it doesn't make
okay.
sense to, you know, deal with years and call the era AD if you're talking about anywhere else.
Oh, so instead of 80, which I was taught 80 was after death.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
it stands for Anno Domini, the Latin for in the year of our Lord.
uh, but so CE is current era, isn't it?
Yes. So
Ah,
they use CE and BCE in
BC.
scholarly. But yes, so back on the path, antiquity generally means anything before the medieval era. The medieval era starting roughly about 1100 CE. So it would be anything before that. So in the 1000s and previous. So we're talking,
Well, that is perfect.
yeah. So yeah, we're talking the late Roman era, even including the rise of Byzantium and whatnot, and everything prior to that.
Ah, yes. Well, that is great because I have a date here in just a minute that I'm going to tell you about that is in antiquity.
Mm-hmm.
Please, if I can say words. Um, but the thing is that very pizza comes from flatbreads. That's what it is. It's on a flatbread, and so there's so many cultures that have done things with flatbreads with various toppings, and it's not necessarily like a unique idea because so many cultures have made their own quote unquote pizzas. Um, like a precursor to pizza is most likely the focaccia,
Focaccia, yes.
focaccia, which is a Roman flatbread called that was called panis focaccia,
Uh, Panis focaccias.
panis focaccias. Yes, you're just gonna have to be correcting me through this whole
It's
thing.
fine. Though I am getting all specific about it. But then again, here's the thing about Latin. It is a dead language. We do not know what it sounds like.
I was gonna say, I believe you have already mentioned that once in one
Mm.
of our podcasts. That we don't know how to. We don't. Yeah.
But as far as focaccia, it is still bread in modern days. That is, it's an Italian bread that's got a very high hydration dough, so it gets very bubbly, very large, airy crumb, and a lot of times you have things baked in the top of it, like tomatoes and garlic and
Ooh, that sounds
all
delicious. I
sorts of
hate
shit.
you. I hate this podcast already because it makes me want pizza. Looking at all this stuff, I was just
Mhm.
like, oh my God, I want pizza so badly.
I mean, you just told me what it was like, and when I was on my way home from work, I was like, you know what, pizza sounds good for dinner.
Right? But we some poor bastards.
Well, maybe we can get some pizza sometime soon.
Maybe. So, the modern pizza, however, did primarily evolve from flatbreads in Naples, Italy, between the 16th and 18th centuries.
Mm-hmm.
The word pizza was first documented in 997 CE in
Mm-hmm.
Gaeta,
Mm-hmm.
as well as in different parts of central and southern Italy. Interesting and strangely enough, the word pizza means, or um, or the word similar to pizza that it came from. I didn't write that down. It was like, but it means clamp, pliers, pincers, tongs, or forceps, or to pound and stamp.
Mm.
I am not sure why those words mean pizza, or why that was chosen for pizza. Like, I kind of get the pound stamp because you have to knead the dough,
Yeah.
but like clamp, pliers, pincers, tongs, forceps, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. So, put on my amateur etymologist hat. So getting the etymology of old words and terms and like going back and figuring out where they came from can be murky sometimes. The pound and stamp, as you said, that does make sense. So it might come from that. However, the word coming from like the clamp, pliers, pincers, tongs, whatever, could point to, and of course, this would take study, it being called that because that's how they manipulated the bread, how they moved it in and out of the oven, is that they might have used tongs of some sort.
That makes sense. I just don't know why you would call the whole dish after that, but it is what it is. Um, but it there's so many stories of different times where people did something similar to flatbread or to pizzas. Like, for instance, in the 6th century BCE, Persian soldiers were said to have baked flatbreads with cheese and dates on their shields.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Ancient Greeks made plakos,
Mm-hmm. Placus.
which is flatbread covered in herbs, onion, cheese, and garlic. Oh, that sounds so good right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna slobber all over my desk now.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Placente, a form of pastries made from flour, cheese, oil, and honey, was mentioned in in Athenaeus.
Athenaeus of
Athenaeus of
Necratis.
Necratis. Yes, those words.
Necratis.
I'll just let you say all the hard words here.
It's fine. It's only because I am somewhat familiar with these things. I'm a fan of learning history
Yes.
and food history, which actually I'll go ahead and take this moment to plug Tasting History with Max Miller.
Yes, that is. I have not watched nearly as much as you have, but I have watched Over Your Shoulder some, and I really enjoy it.
And he has made no fewer than like 2 or 3 videos on pizza.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
You should have told me that today so I could have watched them.
I was very busy at work.
But they often topped these with fruit puree and used them for special offerings. So they're similar to our dessert pizzas today. Which
Sort of.
that's a thing that I learned over this is that un- it was only until relatively in the history of pizza that more savory pizza dishes became more widely popular.
Yeah.
It was mostly sweet dishes that were or sweet and savory dishes that
Yeah.
were served on flatbreads.
That's sort of part and parcel with dealing with just the food of the time. Thankfully, or thanks to mostly Max Miller, but in sort of looking in all those things I've watched and read and whatnot, the sort of, because you sort of see this even modern day if you're eating in different cuisines, there's different sort of like themes to each different like culture's food.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really that surprising that the food of a different culture who's very far geographically isolated, and then even further geographically, or not geographically, but chronologically isolated from us, that the foods that they would eat, while the ingredients are mostly all familiar to us, the ways that they put them together is very different.
Mm-hmm.
And so that being said, there is a lot of, there isn't like a delineation a lot of times of like sweet foods versus savory foods, and sweet foods being like breakfast or dessert, and everything else kind of being savory.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see a lot of things with sugary like dishes, often sweetened with a fruit or honey, because that's what they mostly had in antiquity to sweeten their meals, but incorporating cheese or meat quite often.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So, let's see. In the Aeneid,
Uh,
that sounds really weird. What are you gonna say it
if
is?
if I can remember this correctly, I have heard this word several times recently. The Ennead.
Aeneid. That is.
Yes, the Ennead.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Circa 19 BCE, when Kaleno, the Harpy Queen, foretells that the Trojans won't know peace until they were forced by hunger to eat their tables.
Mm-hmm.
Later, they were served round cakes like pita bread with cooked veggies on them. They realized this was the table that she had spoken of.
Yes.
In Pompeii, a painting was found of Roman food called adore or libum adorium.
Mm-hmm.
These flatbreads were made with wheat, honey, and oil, and usually topped with cheese spreads called moritum and fruits.
Yes.
So again, with that sweet um idea
Mm-hmm.
or theme. Um, Pizza in Italy by the medieval and early modern era was common even through the Mediterranean. By the 16th century in Naples, the dish was associated with poor people and street food. Um, it wasn't until the Spanish brought the tomato from the Americas, that they started using that for they were used for pizzas. So that's
Yeah.
when like tomatoes and tomato sauce became incorporated.
Mm-hmm.
Um and then after they started using the tomato and everything, it is said to be recounted. Now listen here. It's said to be recounted that on June 11th, 1889, to honor the Queen and Consort of Italy, Margherita of Savoy, the Neapolitan pizza maker Raphael Esposito created the pizza margherita. It was a pizza garnished with tomatoes, mozzarella, and basil to represent the colors of the Italian flag. However, in 1830, a certain Riccio, described in the book Napoli Contorni e Denori, described a pizza with tomatoes, mozzarella, and basil. Emmanuel Rocco in 1849 described the main types of pizza, then as marinara, margherita, and calzone. Uh, and Dresecco, okay, help me out here.
Give me just a second. Okay. So
Francesco,
yeah, Francesco de Brocards.
yes. In that person's second volume of Usai e Cosmati di Napoli e Contorle Descaretti e Dipinti. That's a long name that I probably said everything wrong.
You want me to give it my try?
Yes, please. Please, God.
Usi e costumi di Napoli i contorni descritti e dipinti.
Yes, that. But it means uses and customs of Naples and contours described and painted.
Which books, especially cookbooks or similar, having incredibly long names, very common from the period of time and before.
Somehow that doesn't surprise me. Wow, we've been only talking for 22 minutes.
Yeah.
Whoops. Good thing I have the other page up.
Good. You're good.
I'm good. I'm good. Are you sure I'm good?
Yeah, I'm sure you're good.
Yeah. Anyways, the Associazione Verese Pizza Napolitina, or the True Napoleon Pizza Association, was founded in 1984. So now we're getting into more present times. With specific rules for authentic Neapolitan pizzas. Uh, and these are like the rules that they have. So they must be baked in a wood-fired domed oven. The bread must be hand kneaded and must not be rolled with a pin or prepared by mechanical means. They can also not exceed 35 centimeters or 1/3 of a centimeter thick in the center. Uh, and in Naples, there are tons of famous pizzerias,
Mm-hmm.
Including Port Alba, Brandy, Trianon, and Umberto. And they are sold, right? That they're historical centers. And they already have these rules, right? They go to the extremes with their rules that are, you're even stricter than the association's rules. So like one only uses San Marzano tomatoes,
Yes.
and then another one they'll only put the ingredients on like clockwise.
Huh. I mean, that does make sense. And
The clockwise?
well, having these standards, and
Oh, yes.
part of it is, so one, this is going to be very obvious to some people, but food is a very central part of many cultures, but Italian cultures, the Italian culture. And another part of it is that, to the point where uh, there's a lot of regulations around food there, a lot of things such as San Marzano tomatoes. So uh, they're known there for their tomatoes, and it's to the point where they're widely imitated. You go to any grocery store in America, and you'll see there's, of course, a whole section of canned tomatoes, but you'll see a part in that section of quote unquote San Marzano tomatoes. And
Oh, I think that's where I've heard the name, actually.
yes, because I've cooked with them, because they're like the best tomatoes, especially for sauces. And but if you look at it, a lot of them will just say like San Marzano on them. There's another brand that's particularly kind of infamous for this, where it's got a picture of a San Marzano tomato on it and a logo that says SM. But if you like look over like at the legal text and whatnot, you'll see that SM is the logo for the company San American, which grow an American equivalent to the San Marzano tomato, but it's not the same. And the only way to get actual San Marzano tomatoes is to make sure that they were grown in Italy, and especially if they were grown in Italy, they will have a designation on their DOP, which guarantees that they were grown in San Marzano. And Italy also has similar things for various other foods, such as Parmigiano Reggiano.
Mm-hmm.
Parmesan can be a lot of different things in America. But if you say Parmesan and you're in Italy, you mean Parmigiano Reggiano. And it has very specific regulations of what can be Parmesan.
It's like pastels and paint.
How so?
That there are regulations for like this one company that is the oldest pastel making company, and they hand make the pastels.
Mm-hmm.
And like they have regulations and everything of how they have to do it. And even to the point of there is an like association or something that has, oh, where is it? It is I'm looking on my Liquitex. Conforms to ASTMD. So it's the ASTMD.
Mm.
And that's how you know that it's good paint, is because it conforms to the ASTMD.
Yeah.
And they have regulations on how paint has to be made.
Yeah. Go figure. Good companies and governments go by regulations to make sure that cheap slop doesn't ruin what they're doing.
Yeah.
Whereas in America, you have a cheese that's not Parmesan being called Parmesan because it's close enough, and the most common form of it being the dust stuff in a shaker being filled with basically sawdust.
Wait, you're kidding, right?
Only partially.
You eat sawdust?
A filler and flow agent in a lot of that stuff, especially the stuff that you'll find in the non-refrigerated like grocery aisle, is cellulose.
Okay. What is cellulose? I've heard it. I just don't know what it is.
It's like plant fiber. It's almost literally sawdust.
Wow.
Like it could be, but it's probably not, but it could be. But yeah, you'll look and you'll see that cellulose is like usually like the second ingredient. If you're getting like really cheap, really awful Parmesan, or worse, like imitation Parmesan or Parmesan style cheese product or something, then in that case, sometimes cellulose might be the first ingredient, or it could be like a starch and then cellulose in a cheese flavor. But normally the stuff you'll see, like the green canister store brand or what it's imitating Kraft, is going to be Parmesan cheese, which is going to be a cheese similar to, but definitely not Parmigiano Reggiano. And then filled out with cellulose. Which is why you get used to that. Like, that's what originally you were used to as Parmesan, correct?
Yeah, because it came with pizza.
Yeah. And then eventually I bought shred Parmesan. You're like, holy shit, Parmesan is delicious.
Yeah, I ate all the fucking Parmesan. I eat all the Parmesan every time.
Yeah, it doesn't taste at all like that powder shit.
No, there's still a nostalgia thing for the powdered shit, but Parmesan
Yeah, like
is
there's a
fucking
similarity
delicious.
there, but it's almost like night and day. Well, that's why.
Ah.
It's because that the powdered stuff has a faint flavor because it's like half, up to half by mass of a flavorless ingredient.
Why does sawdust taste good?
It doesn't. The cellulose that they're using is basically flavorless.
Okay, so the little bit of flavor they put in there does taste good.
I mean, the flavor you're getting in the powdered stuff is the cheese that they're using.
Yeah. Well, like I said, there's still a nostalgia there for it, but
Yeah, absolutely.
have we ever had Parmigiano Reggiano?
No.
Where can we get that?
So we can get our hands on that. We would have to go to there are certain stores around us that would have it.
I bet the Kroger Marketplace would.
Yeah, probably. You
They have a
can
huge
get it usually.
selection.
Usually it'll be in a tiny little wedge.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you want to spend more, you can buy a part. Because they're all made in wheels, not surprisingly. But for the most part, the wheels are like of like regulated size.
Mm-hmm.
Which one is good for regulation, but two is good for like measuring wise.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have wheels being for the most part a standard size, then you can regulate the cost of it really well.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, it's treated kind of sort of as like, not quite as a currency because it's not spent, but like, oh, there's the cat scratching himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
In any
Totally
case,
heard
but
that.
like an investment, because uh, cheesemakers in Italy will like put up cheese, like wheels of Parmigiano, as collateral for loans.
Wait, what?
Because, of course, all these things are very expensive. Yes. So the banks that they put their cheese up for loans, because Parmesan, being a hard cheese, can last in the right environment for a very, very, very long time.
Put in perspective what a very long time is.
Years. Because if you've got like a whole wheel with the rind on and everything, if it's in the right environment, it can last for years. So these
I
cheese banks that give the cheesemakers their loans, they have large rooms, vaults basically, where they keep cheese as
But
the
what's the
collateral.
point?
What do you mean, what's the point?
Why do if nobody's gonna eat it, what's the point?
They will. They don't keep it indefinitely. It's collateral against the loan. So the cheesemaker gets their loan. They put up a
Who
certain amount of
buys this
cheese.
cheese that is this expensive that you can get a loan with it?
I mean, that they put up a certain amount as the collateral. And then once they've paid their loan, they get their cheese back. Or if they don't, they can sell the cheese because it's cheese. It's a valuable commodity that is worth money. In fact, give me just a moment.
All right, well, while you're looking that up, did you know, of all places, that the Hawaiian pizza was not invented in Hawaii? It was invented in Canada. In Canada.
I was actually aware of that.
Well, fine. Maybe they didn't know. By Sam Panopoulos at the Satellite Restaurant in Chatham, Ontario. And also, in more recent news, the world's largest pizza was made in Los Angeles in 2012. It measured 1,261.65 square meters in area. I don't know how to put that in perspective. I don't know how big that is. And I don't know how someone would make a pizza that big.
Very carefully.
So did you find what you were looking for?
Yeah, give me just a second.
We have wonderful keyboards that make clicky clack sounds.
Yeah,
and they're amazing. I love them so much.
I was muted for the last bit. But quick aside, that 1261-ish square meters is a bit more like 13,500, 13,600 square feet, which gives it more surface area. Which gives it more surface area than our house by almost twice.
How did somebody make a pizza that big?
Very carefully.
Like, was it cooked?
Almost certainly. Actually, I think I saw something about this. And basically, they had like a side kitchen, right? Where they were making up dough in batches. And then people would go out and like splodge it on because they had like a big thing on the floor, big area of like drop cloth and floor where they put it down, and they had people going around and spreading toppings and whatnot. And then they had a big thing go over it and cook it. It's a whole thing. I'm sure you can find like a documentary or a video or something about it.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So what'd you find?
But what I was looking at is I was going to look at a whole wheel of Parmigiano Reggiano. Because you can buy them. And in fact, you can buy a whole wheel from Costco.
Okay.
So the wheels that they sell, which should be the normal wheel, is 72 pounds. I am curious.
72 pounds?
Yeah.
It is more than 50 pounds of cheese?
Yes. So 72 pounds of Parmigiano Reggiano. Like I said, they're big ass wheels. From Costco is $950.
Okay, that's huge and a lot of cheese, so I get it. But also, why is it still so goddamn much?
Like price wise, why is it $13 a pound?
Yes.
Because it's not just, it's a product that has a lot of work and like pride and culture in it. Not just the cheese culture, but like history. So another thing though is that Parmigiano Reggiano has to be aged for a minimum amount of time. And usually they're aged for 16 to 24 months. These being aged for 24 months. So each wheel is aged for 2 years before it's even considered Parmigiano Reggiano.
And I thought waiting 24 hours for my resin was hard.
Right?
Jeez. That is insane. It's delicious, but also like, oh wait, we live in a world where they don't pay us enough of this fictional thing called money.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing though, is that I'm pretty sure you and I have basically solely only had the American equivalent of this. We haven't had that actual Italian cheese.
No.
Which is different.
I want to get it and I want to try it. This turned from a pizza podcast to a cheese podcast.
Right? Cheesecast.
Cheesecast.
Which, that's what I was looking for. So a lot of times, an alternative to Parmigiano Reggiano, the actual proper cheese, is going to be one of two, which there's a few, but it's mostly going to be either Grana Padano or Pecorino. And given the looser regulations around it in America, they can be labeled as Parmesan.
I mean, I'm glad that we have it because it tastes good, but also I want to try the real stuff.
Right. And because most people aren't willing to plop down nearly $1,000 to try some cheese, that's why in stores they'll sell partial wheels, even down to just like little slivers for a few bucks.
I'll take a sliver too, please.
Yeah. And I'm sure we can find it. You can find it in all sorts of grocery stores.
Okay, please, please, please. Maybe Walmart will have it. Please, please, please. Now I'm gonna eat my
Oh,
my Swiss after this. I have one piece of Swiss left, and I'm gonna eat it and enjoy it.
that's good.
Can we add more cheese to our shopping list?
I planned on it.
Good, thank you. See, this is our podcast, guys. We're just talking. We're
Chatting, shooting the shit,
chatting, shooting the shit, talking
bullshitting.
about random topics like pizza.
Mm-hmm.
So, fun fact: the Chicago style deep dish pizza was invented in 1943 by Ike Sewell and Rick Ricardo. They opened their own restaurant and named it Pizzeria Uno. Pause
Yes.
for effect. We went there. We ate there twice when we
Yes,
went to
we did.
Chicago. It was so fucking good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I'm so spoiled on that and we can never have it again.
I mean, we don't know that for sure.
Are we ever going to go to Chicago again?
Maybe. Honestly, here's the thing. If we
Honestly,
ever
it's only 9 hours away, guys.
if we ever dig our asses out of the hole we're in, I wouldn't mind going back to Chicago.
Yay!
It was a nice city. I liked it there.
It was nice. People were actually nice to us, which was weird.
Yeah,
I expected
cool
people
folks.
to be assholes.
Right?
And like nobody, Subway, nothing. Nobody was an asshole. And well, except for the drivers, but also I was driving like shit. So I couldn't see the road.
Yeah.
I've never been in a tunnel, guys, and the way out was in a tunnel and I couldn't see shit.
Yeah, and it was like dim and snowy that day.
Yeah.
Weather was shitty. Of course.
Our car was shitty.
Yeah.
We still have that car too.
Yeah, it hasn't gotten less shitty.
No. Well, the wiper blades have gotten better. We didn't change the wiper blades before we went.
Yeah, that would have been better.
Yeah. But yeah, we went there and the thing was I didn't know that till today. I was looking for good pizzerias when I was looking up all the information about going to Chicago, right? And
Mhm.
it said that one was a really good one. I was like, okay. And then I found out that it was right down from our hotel. And so I was like, oh, that's awesome. So we went there. And then today I was reading about it and they're like, oh, it read and it said it was invented in Chicago at the Pizzeria Uno. I was like, wait, hold the phone. The phone. Who knows how to hold your phone? Uh, but but I was like, we went there. We went there. That is so cool. We've visited an original place.
Yeah. Which, just because I want to call this out, because if I don't call this out, it will be called out. So, deep dish was invented at Pizzeria Uno. However, you also have the stuffed pizza, which is very similar and was created by either Nancy's or Giordano's. However, a lot of folks from Chi-Town will say that those are tourist pizza, right? Those are a spectacle. It's not what real Chicagoans eat. They eat tavern style pizza. Their pizza is a big ass thin crust pizza cut tavern style.
Oh, really now?
Yeah.
Well, I still love the deep dish.
That's fair, and you can. And a local pizza chain actually had their own damn good pies.
Yes.
had their own stuffed pizza.
I am
The
so
stuffy
sad.
pizza. Yeah, they're gone.
They're gone, and my tears. I wanted to go there one last time, and we never had the money, and
Yeah.
I was so sad. And I've tried the one place that supposedly had something like theirs, and it was not good enough.
Mm.
It's just not good enough. There is nowhere in Arkansas that I can get the right pizza.
What's
You
the
have
right
to learn
pizza?
a Chicago style deep dish,
Oh, like a deep dish or
a stuffy pizza. You got to learn how to make one. And also, this is incredible. But if you think about how many people this actually is, 13% of the US population consumes pizza on any given day.
yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah.
And yeah, like everybody's eating pizza. Everybody's eating pizza. Actually, only 13%, which is a very small amount technically. But also is still a lot of people if you think about how many people are in the US. That is thousands of people. But last fun fact of the night, guys. Last fun fact of the night. The Canadian pizza is the most distinct pizza in Canada. Made with actually it's the second to last fun fact. Sorry, I lied, guys. It is made with tomato sauce, mozzarella, pepperoni, mushrooms, and bacon. Uh, Interestingly enough, pizzas are almost never served with Canadian bacon or back bacon, as it's referred to by Canadians. That's probably why we call it Canadian bacon, is because they don't eat it.
I suppose. So
Or
the
that's
thing
why they
is,
don't eat it, is because we call it Canadian bacon.
yeah, so they eat back bacon more often, but not on pizza,
Yeah.
which I'm assuming that they use belly or streaky bacon.
It said that it was side bacon.
Yeah, that's also called side bacon.
That they use mostly. But yeah. The Canadian pizza sounds delicious. That
Yeah,
just I know you don't like mushrooms, but that sounds good.
I'll eat it some on pizza.
The
Honestly, with everything else going on, I can almost ignore the mushrooms.
Yeah, I just want to eat all the mushrooms. I'll buy cans of mushrooms and just eat mushrooms. But then again, I'm also the weird person that eats tomatoes just with salt
That's not that weird.
and pineapples out of the can and pineapple on pizza
That's not weird, even though I think it's awful.
and drink lemon juice and hot sauce out of the container. And
That's a little strange.
what about the maple syrup and pepperoni pizza?
I think that's strange, and I think other people could get down with it, but I just think it's weird.
Guys, eat maple syrup and pepperoni pizza. It is delicious.
Don't. It's awful for you. You shouldn't
No,
do it.
do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. The last fun fact that really threw me for a loop when I read it was that Buenos Aires is actually considered one of the world's capitals of pizza.
Hmm.
It is the highest concentration of pizzerias and customers. And has the highest consumption of pizzas in the world, estimated in 2015 to be 14 million per year.
Interesting. Because, so, to some extent, that does make sense. Because Argentina has actually quite a lot of Italian influence on it.
Yeah, it said something about the 19th century with a massive Italian immigration as part of the great European immigration wave to the country.
Yeah. Which back during high school, learning Spanish, because one of my Spanish teachers was from Uruguay, and he was just very familiar with like regional dialects and whatnot. And one of the things about Argentinian Spanish is that you can hear the Italian influence on it. And if you look at Argentinian food, you can see an Italian and Japanese, interestingly enough, because they've also had a big influx of Japanese immigration at some point in time, but influence on their food.
Interesting. Now that makes me want to go to Argentina.
I mean, yeah, sure.
Guys, send us to Argentina. But yeah, that's our fun facts for pizza and cheese. Apparently, Cheesecast is what this episode is going to be called.
Cheesecast.
Cheesecast. We started out with pizza, and they're gonna be like, "Why is it called Cheesecast?" And then they're gonna hit the tangent, and they're gonna be like, "Oh."
Well, fuck, I want some pizza.
I know. I want some pizza. Guys, we're going to go dream about pizza.
Yep. And you all can dream about pizza with us.
Yes, dream about pizza with us. We can all have a big pizza party in our brains while we sleep. But with that, we're going to sign off, say good night or good day or whatever time it is while you're listening.
Mm-hmm. Good that time.
Good that time, yes. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow. Leave us comments in the comment section about what you want to hear us talk about, any topics that you find interesting, other fun facts that you know about pizzas or pizzas in your culture. Yeah, just, and also, note, Eric, note.
Mm-hmm.
Note.
Note.
Do you know the note?
What note?
About the next 2 weeks.
Right. Yes. We will be taking the next 2 weeks off for the holidays. So we will be returning on the second week or first full week of January. Our next podcast should be releasing on the 10th of January, 2025.
Oh God, don't say that word.
Oh yeah. Ooh, 2025. If you want to cringe even harder, will be a mere like 10 days from Inauguration Day. Right?
Okay, I won't do that anymore so I don't make anybody sick. Oh
yeah. Things are going great for us.
I want to rip that stupid sign down so goddamn much.
I know. In any case,
with that, meantime, we'll say,
put it out of your mind. Spend time with your loved ones, all the people you love around you. Have a good holidays while you can. Celebrate the holiday of your choice. Be with your loved ones. Be with your community. Ring in the new year. And then we can worry about things. Now is for celebrating and being together. Leave the worry for next year.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.